Hello Girls Planers, welcome back. Today we're going to chat about events. Now I'm specifically talking about Magic the Gathering events, but I do think these tips can apply to any other kind of live gaming events that you might go to, casual, competitive, or otherwise. It can be really daunting to walk into a space that you don't know a whole lot about, if you don't know the people, if you don't know the scene. And I have been there. And I navigated that a lot by myself and then with some friends. And I just wanted to put together a little video talking about my tips for that. This isn't really gameplay tips. This is more, not even etiquette really. It's just like, how can you feel better going into that? So I hope this helps. Let me know in the comments down below if there's anything else that has made you feel more comfortable when you are attending live play events at local game stores. My favorite thing to talk about with this is setting small goals. Obviously, you want to go in and do your best, but sometimes if I'm thinking about just doing well and I have to make sure that I'm drafting perfectly and I'm playing perfectly and I'm like, it gets so difficult. And if you're able to just focus on one thing that's a lot smaller of a goal and achievable and measurable, then you might be able to let your natural ability shine through because you're less stressed thinking about, oh, I have to do well. Now, what are my credentials? I have done one game better in every single event that I've gone to since my very first event. That's a weird track record, and I don't think I will be able to keep it for much longer, but it seems to work because I was so worried about winning and the fact that like I would go home with a bad win record. But when I started thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to get a spacecraft on the board for Edge of Eternities and I'm going to station it up to its highest capacity and I'm going to get that ability off. When I did that, I felt so great, and that didn't have anything to do with my standings for the night. What are some other small goals that I have had? I want to draft the best deck possible or build the best sealed deck possible, or I'm focusing on not having any misplays. And again, of course, you do want to have all those things happen at the same time, but that will come with practice, and it certainly won't happen for me if I'm thinking about it too hard. Obviously, every store and every opponent is different, but in my experience, most people are super happy to answer questions. So don't be afraid if you don't know what a rule means, or if you don't know how to do something, or if you just like want to get to know the store better. Please don't be afraid to ask questions. I'm certain that it will go better than the bad situations that you might think of in your head. I've walked into stores before without a deck, and I had to ask to borrow one because I was traveling, and it turned out to be one of the greatest sets of games of my life. So I would encourage you to be brave and ask other questions and get to know people. One thing I do recommend doing some research on and coming in prepared for is knowing the rules of the specific event that you're attending. So what I'm talking about specifically with Magic is like, what are the mulligan rules for this type and casualness of event? How do you cut someone's deck? When is it appropriate to do that? When do you not need to do that? How do tournaments work? I think that not knowing rules of the game is totally fine. And for the most part, people will be fine to answer questions about rules. Every opponent is different, but in my experience, people have been very, very kind about answering rules questions. I do think it's important to have the etiquette of the particular event that you're going to, which is different than just learning all of the rules and all of the mechanics, because that's impossible. If you still unprepared, unprepared, some more research that you can do is on the mechanics, the draft archetypes, the new set, whatever your event is, if it's a pre-release, if it's a draft of an older set, if it's a chaos draft, whatever it may be, it might help to do some research on that. Obviously, you don't have to, and I think one of the fun things about pre-release events is that it is a newer set, so there's only so many hours of videos that you can watch on that. There's only so much reading you can do. So everyone's kind of on a little bit of a more even footing, but I always feel better personally when I have done my due diligence, whether that's 1 hour of looking or, 7 hours of looking. I like to go in with a little bit of knowledge so that I'm prepared to make the best decisions in the event. I love to watch other YouTubers and streamers to do this, especially Loading Ready Run. I think their pre-release is awesome, and I've watched it for every pre-release I've ever been to. And my last tip is just have confidence. Bring a friend if need be. If you want to do some scouting out of the store beforehand, if that might make you more comfortable, that's awesome. So visit the store and get to know the owner or the manager or the employees or the other players, maybe on a night when it's not an event night, when it's just a casual Commander night, or if it's just any old night at the store. That's a great way to get to know your community, know who you might want to be friends with, and understand the landscape of how your local game store experience is going to go. I've found that since I started going to Magic the Gathering events, I've become so much more invested in the game and the community. I've gotten to know a bunch of people through it, both locally and online, and the friendships that I've built there have been really awesome. And that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been willing to step out of the box and go to a couple events. And it was really scary because the first few I had to go alone and I didn't like it. Sometimes I don't want to do it. But I built up the confidence, I built up my skills, I know what I need to do to feel good about myself and my gameplay, even if it's not perfect, because it's not going to be perfect. I know how to make it a good experience for me, no matter what. So it's really improved my love for the game, and I look forward to every single pre-release. That's my favorite kind of event. That's my favorite way to play Magic. I really love a sealed pre-release event. So let me know in the comments what your favorite kind of event is, or if there's anything that you do to make yourself feel more comfortable when you're walking into a new space for the first time. See you next time.